Good afternoon, puppy buyers, Dabrowski Doberman followers. I have such a great example of a pedigree that puppy buyers should be aware is considered a lethal pedigree in our world of breeders. We have a lot of Americans that have become absolutely obsessed with European Doberman lines. In the last decade, the demand and request for European dogs has exponentially jumped, and breeders have gotten on the bandwagon of breeding dogs for the American buyer because Americans will spend a whole lot more money on a dog than their European counterparts. In places like Serbia and Croatia, those people make a police officer makes about this is 10 years ago, made about $300 to $400 a month in income. A average police officer's family could not afford a 2,000 or 3,000 euro import Doberman. They could afford $300 or $400, maybe a month's salary. But European breeders caught on to this awareness and have become, in my estimation, all the big breeders, every single one of them has become a greeder. And they are breeding for greed, not for the breed. So this pedigree that I'm going to show you that has the orange outline, I've marked around the pedigree the names of the dogs that are major contributors to dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM, in this breed. And those of you that have buried a Doberman that was less than 10 years of age because of DCM, you are more than likely going to bury more of them if you keep supporting these breeders by buying their dogs, because they are, as I define them, drop dead gorgeous. They are. I just was in Serbian Breed Club. Beautiful, beautiful red male dog. Spectacular. He won't make it to 7. He won't. 90% of the dogs, this is my estimation now, 90% of the Dobermans coming out of Europe today won't make it to 7 years of age. If they possess these names that you see in this pedigree that I just showed you here, you can be assured your dog is not going to make it to 7 years of age. I actually spoke to a breeder who I know, and I won't mention her name because she had the brother to my Baba. Baba's mom lived to be 13. Baba died of a misdiagnosis. He would have been 9 in 17 days. His heart was great. I had done his echoes. I'd done all these. He was fine. But he had a misdiagnosis of a bleeding ulcer that ended up in him bleeding to death internally, and I watched him die. But his mom lived to be 13. Some of her progeny made it to 12 and 13. Some of them 11. Her mom made it to 11. Dory's mom. Dory is the grandmother of all my puppies and the mother of many of them. Her mom is 11 and still doing amazingly well. This pedigree is my pet peeve as a Doberman breeder. I think these breeders need to be called out on their websites where they list these puppies. And people need to say, that's a lethal pedigree. Why did you make that choice? Why did you choose to breed to Pride of Russia Sidor when you know that his entire litter died at 5 of DCM over 10 years ago? His entire litter. D. Ultimatus, a notorious kennel out of Canada, produced a litter of puppies, 11 of them, out of Pride of Russia Sidor, double line bred. Sire and dam had Pride of Russia Sidor on behind them. Every one of those puppies died by 4 years of age. This is now a notorious breeder, and every single one of you that sees this video should screenshot this pedigree and educate everyone you know who's looking at buying a dog to never buy a dog that has those dogs listed in it. Fedor Del Nazi in all of them on there. So Sidor, Pride of Russia, Sidor, any Pride of Russia dogs, all of the Pride of Russia dogs have contaminated pedigrees. If they've got PIMS #1, that was behind my dog, Gemma Rose. He died at 8 of DCM. And when I asked Marina Gorbachev, the owner of Pride of Russia, what he died of, she said he was old. He just died. He was 8. These people are unscrupulous multimillionaires who are breeding an entire alphabet of puppies every single year, right next to Vital Screen, Tahi Rami, Alto Bello, Betelgeuse, and more, all of them. And as I said earlier, the one woman that I spoke to who had Baba's brother and her dog laterally to my litter, one of Baba's siblings did die of DCM at 7. It's not behind my pedigree. It's important to know that each sibling is given a different allocation of genes. But that dog, her dog, the brother to mine, died of DCM. She's a breeder. And her most recent litter is double line bred on Pride of Russia Sidor. And I confronted her in a private message on Instagram and said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Diva, I don't think it's that simple, just eliminating a certain line of dogs from your pedigree. I don't think genetics is that simple." And I said to her, genetics is my thing. That's exactly what I focus on and what I know best. And absolutely, positively, it's that simple. Do not breed to known producers of DCM, even if they have 1 or 2 offspring that made it to 9 or even 10. The majority of the offspring, 60% or more, will be affected with DCM and will die before they are 7. So this pedigree is just one example of why knowing your breeder knows what's in their pedigree is the most important thing your breeder needs to know. Even more so than if those dogs are all health tested. Because health tested dogs still drop dead of DCM. Because health testing isn't stopping the disease. It's simply preparing the owner for the inevitable. And that is that if you find occult DCM in your dog, you now have an opportunity to give it medication, and perhaps you'll get a year or 2 or 3 or 4 because of the medication. It isn't stopping these genetic diseases. The only thing that will stop the progression and the expansion of dying dogs is when we stop buying from breeders who breed only to create puppies to sell for $3,000 to $4,000 to unknowing, uneducated consumers in America who are looking for one thing and one thing only, a big blocky head and a big blocky dog. That is not what this breed was ever intended to look like or be like. So albeit they are stunning, it's true. I agree. I think they're beautiful too. But you know what? When your beautiful 4 or 5-year-old dog drops dead of DCM, do you think it's going to matter to you that he was pretty? What's going to matter is that he's gone. It wouldn't matter if he was a rescue and he was ugly, because you love him just as much. So buyers, puppy buyers, beware. A pedigree is the most important feature of your dog. It predicts what your dog's potential lifespan could be. So if there isn't a ton of dogs in that pedigree that have made it to 10 or above, and it's full of dogs like this on this pedigree, your dog is probably not going to make it to 7 years of age, probably more like 4 or 5. Avoid these breeders like the plague. Find some little hobby breeder in Texas somewhere, or like us at Dabrowski Dobermans, where we don't breed like that, or for those reasons at all, ever.